Johan Cruyff, Marco van Basten, Dennis Bergkamp and Wesley Sneijder, four greats of the game of the past 40 years and all graduates of one of the most famous youth football institutions in the world, the Ajax Academy. The UEFA training ground visited Die Toekomst to find out more about this Dutch conveyor belt of talent.
Ja, de opleiding van Ajax is gewoon de levensader van...
The Ajax Youth Academy is like the lifeblood of this club. On the one hand, that has to do with the financial structure. We're not capable of spending large amounts of money for players, which means that you have to develop players yourself. Secondly, we try to develop players through a specific culture, a specific philosophy, and to show them in general terms, because there might be differences per coach on a detailed level, how Ajax want to play football. It's an advantage if players have already played in the same system for many years. So yes, in that sense, it's very important for Ajax.
Dus ja, wat dat er gaat is het gewoon enorm belangrijk voor Ajax.
De Ajax voetbalacademie is...
The Ajax Football Academy is one of the regional academies in this country. They develop a lot of players who make it into professional football. We have also developed a policy whereby smaller professional clubs can form an academy together. The size of those academies could then be of the same quality level as the Academy of Ajax. We hope that in this way we can develop more players who can make it into professional football. And if you don't make it, then at least you've had a good education for your amateur football career. But Ajax are an example, of course, in terms of developing talented players. Developing players for Ajax first team, but also developing players for the Dutch national team. They have a very important role in Holland in that sense.
The real success of the Youth Academy is measured by the amount of players who really added value to the first team. But on the other hand, we also look at how many players play for national teams. Recently there was a game, Netherlands against Finland. In the starting lineup, 9 out of the 11 players were developed by Ajax. That is a way to measure our current position. If we, the Netherlands, are second in the FIFA rankings, then that is the criteria you can use. But it's always comparing. You can also say that we didn't develop a player like Messi in the last 10 years. But we did develop Sneijder and Van der Vaart, etc. So you do constantly want to develop those types of players.
En het is toch zaak om telkens dat soort jongens op te leiden.
Die Toekomst, literally translated to mean the future, is an impressive facility. 14 hectares in size, it is the home to 7 pitches, 14 dressing rooms and a multi-sports hall where, as well as football, other sports such as gymnastics and judo are taught. 200 youth players ranging from the ages of 7 to 19 are students at the academy, playing in 13 different teams. But how do these youngsters join in the first place?
In het algemeen is het steeds meer trouwens.
In general, it's done more and more through scouting. So we have around 70 scouts who are connected to us, and they watch many matches or training sessions in the larger part of Holland, actually in the whole of Holland, and nowadays more and more internationally too. And then it comes down to, if you come up through the scout, you can be asked and selected by Ajax to come and play for us. We also still organise the so-called talent days. That's especially for the youngest youth. We usually organise a week in spring where those boys can sign up and show what they can do. And many players are still selected from those. Actually, it's the most important way to get Ajax to see you, and consequently you play at Ajax. Usually there are also a couple of test training sessions with periods where you are intensively followed at your current club. When you play at Ajax, every year it's for a year. And then at the end of the season we reassess if the development is good enough and if, meanwhile, better players have appeared. There's a quite strict selection process to determine if you can continue to the next year.
Naar het volgende jaar. Dat is eigenlijk de aanpak.
It is a tough system with the attitude of the students as well as performances on the pitch, part of the assessment process. Another aspect important to the academy is that they get a well-rounded education, with a fleet of minibuses operating each day to collect the students from school and teachers employed to give them further studies when they arrive at die toekomst.
Ajax are also known for their very good structure. School is very important, so the players are picked up from school. They study, they train, and then study again and go home. So a lot of discipline is asked of them. The responsibility that is asked of them is a lot too. But you need that when you want to reach the first team. And also when you are playing in the first team. So mentally, the players are shaped by the structure that Ajax have, letting the boys develop themselves as people.
Om de jongens als persoon zich te laten ontwikkelen. Extreem belangrijk eigenlijk, hè, want eigenlijk we proberen ons.
That's extremely important actually, because we try to take our responsibility fully. We're also convinced that players, let's say, also the normal school education, let's say, contributes to who you become as a human. So we put an emphasis on study. We have 12 teachers working for us. Actually, we have a system which starts from high school age, 12 or 13 years. That boys start working in a certain system where they get picked up daily from school. So they have regular education, they have to follow that, we demand that. And that's also obligatory in Holland, that you go to school until you're 17. And it's with the consultation of the schools. In total there are 80 schools involved. With each school, we make rules about the boys who, at that school, follow the lessons. So roughly speaking, it means that in general they can get out of school a little bit earlier. They are picked up there, brought here, and there's a program they follow where education forms an important part. It's threefold. One, that the lessons they miss at school, they follow with us, that they get homework guidance, and they get individual tutoring where needed. Homework guidance, it's offered here. The full program looks like this. Usually there's 1 or 2 training sessions, then study, then they get food, good sport food, and they are brought home again in the coaches, so that they still get home at a reasonable time. That's actually the program. In general, it's 4 days a week for those boys.
Over het algemeen 4 dagen in de week voor deze jongens.
The academy is also moving with the times, using sports scientists to analyse its players, as well as some exciting new plans on the agenda, thanks to a link-up with Amsterdam's Vrije University.
Ja, vanuit de wetenschap daar proberen we ook zeg maar steeds verder.
Using science, we try to bring the youth education to a higher level. So we have a cooperation with the VU. At this moment, we're busy developing a so-called test centre here. It will be a hall where, for example, through the use of camera recordings, all kinds of football movements will be analysed, where we will try to improve those football movements per player, per individual. The VU will guide that whole procedure. So, for example, the shooting movement, shooting, where you could say every shot can be better. And on the basis of analysis programs, they look at it to actually improve it. So that's an example. But we also do things with the VU in the mental area and nutrition. So all areas where we work together with the VU to improve every detail. And that's the goal for the next few years. With that sort of scientific support, we try to actually raise all the aspects of football to a higher level.
Proberen we eigenlijk alle aspecten van het voetbal naar een hoger plan te tillen.